Rising. Have you wanted to start a nonprofit but you don't know where to begin? Well, today we're going to be talking about exactly what a nonprofit is, what the benefits are of having a nonprofit organization, and what it is that you need to get started. I'm Tracy Clark from Clark & Clark Nonprofit Consultants. We've set up over 4,000 nonprofit organizations, and we've received over $10 million in grant funding. So let's jump right in. What is a nonprofit organization? The name can be very confusing. A lot of times people think nonprofit organizations cannot generate income, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. Nonprofit organizations not only can generate the same traditional income that a business can generate, but they also have some bonus income streams that they can generate as well, such as grants, business sponsorships, personal fundraisers, personal donations, and all of those things can be written off on business and personal taxes, which is one of the benefits of starting a nonprofit organization. A good example of some nonprofit organizations that generate income is Starbucks, Tom's, who sells shoes and also gives shoes to those who are less fortunate. Also, the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCA, they have membership programs which can be paid for by people who have the income to be able to afford them, but then they also have sliding scales for those who may not have income to be able to afford the memberships as well. So you can definitely generate income. That's a common myth when it comes to starting up a nonprofit. The biggest thing to remember as far as the difference between a nonprofit organization and a business is that nonprofit organizations are for the community. They're owned by the community. They're ran by a board. So their most important top priority is servicing a certain community, whether that be homelessness, those who have food insecurities, empowering women or youth. That is your number one focus. That is the number one reason why you exist. You don't exist to generate income or create profit, which is why businesses exist. The second thing we'll get into a little bit is what are some of the benefits of having a nonprofit organization? Well, the first benefit is that you actually get to serve the community that you've been called to serve. So if you have a story that ties to empowering women like myself, you can serve women who are survivors of domestic violence and help them to start businesses or help them to start a nonprofit or help them to just become self-sufficient in general. Number two, you can also generate income to be able to serve those areas of the community. So you have the opportunity as a nonprofit organization to give tax write-offs to businesses. You also can receive grants from foundations and be able to give them a tax write-off as well. So you can actually generate the income in order to serve a community that you've been called to serve. Those are the top benefits of starting a nonprofit. Also, of course, any of your own personal donations that goes into the nonprofit can be written off as well. So you're definitely creating win-wins when it comes to starting a nonprofit organization. So what do you need to get started? That's the next big question. I want to start one. I've been thinking about this, but I have no idea what it is that I need to get started for my nonprofit organization. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into that right now. So what is it that you need to start a nonprofit organization? Well, number one, you're going to need a name for your organization, a unique name. So you're going to search the name of the organization that you would like to have for your nonprofit through your Secretary of State site. If you need help with that, you can send us over the name and we will search it for you at no cost. So you can email us at info@clark&clark. You can also message us on any of the social media platforms as well. Number two, you're going to need 3 board members. A lot of times a founder is on the board as president, especially for the first couple of years. So that is okay. That's a common question that a lot of people ask. Well, can I serve on the board? You absolutely can. One thing it's important to remember is that if you decide later on to be staff, you will not be able to vote on your own salary. That is a conflict of interest. So a lot of times founders just want to go ahead and serve as staff and not serve on the board, but you can serve it as both to begin, and you can be both a staff member and a board member. So you'll need at least 2 additional board members. Typically, the core foundation for a nonprofit organization is to at least have a president, secretary, and treasurer. I'll also say for voting purposes, it's a little bit easier to have an odd number of board members as well. You're also going to need a physical address as well as an SSN in order to get your EIN. This is very important if you want to start a nonprofit in another country, or if you want to start a nonprofit and maybe you're not a U.S. citizen. It's important for you to know that you do need a physical address here in the United States, and you will also need a social security number in order to get your EIN. I also want to talk a little bit about your mission. It's important for you to have a direct niche down mission. So determine who you want to serve and how you can serve them. The best way to do that is do a little bit of research. Check out what's going on in your area and where some of the gaps are. You don't want to be attempting to serve the same community as a large organization that's serving that community well. And remember, setting up a nonprofit is all about the community. So really take some time to think about your mission and think about a specific area of service that you want to give to the community. You want your mission, if you're going to be applying with the 1023-EZ, you want your mission to be under 2 sentences. Irregardless, marketing wise, you want your mission to be under 2 sentences. You want to be able to quickly relay what your nonprofit is about, and you want it to be clear to the person or the organization that's receiving that information. So let's talk a little bit about the steps. In order to get your nonprofit tax exempt status, you need to first have articles of incorporation, which a company like ours can complete. You also need your bylaws, conflict of interest policy, EIN, and then after you have all 4 of those, we can then apply for your tax exempt status. Again, a company like Clark & Clark can complete this entire process for you. You do not need anything legally if you want to utilize our company, but if you do want to do these steps by yourself, it's good for you to know exactly what steps need to be taken place, and most importantly, what order you need to do those steps in. If you try to get your tax exempt status and you don't have an EIN or you haven't gotten your articles of incorporation, you will get denied. That's why it's so important for you to partner with another company if possible. We do have templates for your long form, and we also have templates for the 1023-EZ, actually a video tutorial if you are the do-it-yourself type. So if that's the type you are, we can definitely relay that information to you and get you all the details on those templates or on that video tutorial as well. Let's talk a little bit about the 2 types of forms. This is a common area of confusion when it comes to setting up a nonprofit. You have both a long form, a 1023, and then you have something called a short form, which is a 1023-EZ. Everyone does not qualify for the 1023-EZ, but majority of new nonprofits qualify for the 1023-EZ. The long form is the traditional form we've been doing for years. Our organization can do both forms, but we've been doing that one for years, and the 1023-EZ just came along about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was made to streamline the approval process. A lot of people know from back in the day that it used to take 3 to 6 months, and it still takes 3 to 6 months when utilizing the long form to get your tax exempt status. However, if you qualify for the 1023-EZ, it can take 14 to 45 business days, I would say 90 days maximum. So you're on that lower end of approval time. Not to mention your filing fees are a lot lower. So your filing fees for the 1023-EZ is $275, and your filing fees for the long form is $600. Those are the main differences, and that's a very common question. How do you know if you qualify? Organizations that already have a donation of, let's say, $250,000 or something, and they're just setting up their organization to receive that donation, you don't qualify. You're already going to be generating a lot of income, and basically organizations that are set up and want to be generating a lot of income from jump don't qualify for the 1023-EZ. So hospitals, churches, colleges that charge a tuition and things like that, and as you know, hospitals definitely generate a lot of income. They do not qualify for the 1023-EZ. Foundations do not qualify for the 1023-EZ, and not just colleges, but actually any school doesn't qualify. They want to take a look at your curriculum, and they want to make sure that you are a school that's going to be where whoever you're teaching, that they've done their due diligence and you're teaching them good information. Another organization that does not qualify for the 1023-EZ is financial organizations. If you're teaching about finances, the IRS want to take a little bit of a closer look at those curriculums as well. All right, guys, that's the nitty gritty and the basic information when it comes to starting a nonprofit organization. We have tons of videos. We've actually been going live for 3.5 years on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So if you want to see who's starting nonprofits right now, how are they getting grants, a little bit about their mission and just some wins when it comes to other nonprofits, or also some Q&As for other nonprofits, take a look at some of those other videos, guys, and you'll get tons of information, and there's tons of benefits in watching some of those interviews as well. However, if you're just getting started and you want to know what your next step is, On our website, you can download a checklist that has every single thing that you need to do in order to get a nonprofit organization. You can also send us over your name, and we would love to do a search on your name and make sure it's available. You can also send us over your mission statement, and we'll let you know if that mission statement needs to be tweaked in any type of way. An unclear mission statement is the #1 reason for delays when it comes to setting up your nonprofit organization. All right, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking some time and watching this video. I hope it was beneficial. I hope it gave you a little bit more of a foundation when it comes to what's needed to start a nonprofit. I know a lot of times one of the biggest complaints and one of the biggest areas of confusion when it comes to nonprofits is all the information out there. A lot of people get confused and they just kind of out of confusion freezes and they don't know what to do next. So I hope I was able to clear up some of that confusion today. And if not, if you still have questions, feel free to message me. We would love to answer your questions, guys. And until next time, remember to be the change, be the light, be love, and be the spark with Clark & Clark.